There's a Native American prophecy that the bird of humanity has been flying with one wing outstretched, and this wing represents the masculine energy, the male in the planet, and the bird has been flying very powerfully but somewhat in circles, and that's because the other wing, which represents the feminine energy and the females in the world, has been caught, and the bird is beginning to tire, going round and round in circles. The prophecy also states that this wing is going to become outstretched, and this bird will fly at its full, humanity will fly at its full and most beautiful expression with the empowerment of women and the feminine energy in this world. I'd like to talk to you about how I think we can empower women through their connection to money so that our money carries our love and not our fear. Why is this important? Well, there's the statistics. Do you know that 52% of women in Australia feel that managing their money is stressful and overwhelming and causes them anxiety? 1 in 3 marriages end in divorce, and one of the top 4 reasons that a marriage ends in divorce is due to financial stress. And then there's the fact that as women, we still tend to live longer than men. We need to look after ourselves and our financial well-being. They are the statistics, somewhat a little bit depressing. Some would say an opportunity for growth. And then there's my story. See, I grew up believing in Cinderella. I love the fairy tale that this beautiful girl had a fairy godmother who would save the day. She would meet Prince Charming, who would fall in love with her at first sight by simply trying on a shoe. They were united, fell in love and lived happily ever after. My belief and love for Cinderella was definitely enhanced by where I grew up. So up until the age of 15, we lived across the road from a beautiful historic house here in Adelaide, and for as long as I can remember, every Saturday my sister and I would cling to the front fence, watching the procession of brides roll up, completely captured by the fairy tale of it all. There was absolutely no doubt in my mind that I would one day meet my Prince Charming, get married, have a family, live with a house with a white picket fence, happily ever after. As you can imagine, it's not quite how it worked out. And my story is about my adventure through getting to know myself. So, I'm in those statistics. I'm divorced. One of the contributing factors to that divorce was the financial stress. And I'm also in that statistic where I was worried, concerned, felt uncomfortable managing my money for most of my life. Through quite a bit of self-discovery and education, I found that I didn't feel empowered. I didn't feel like I had control. I didn't feel strong. And I also think I almost didn't want to, because I thought if I could stand on my own 2 feet, then I wouldn't need anyone by my side. What I have learnt is that information and other things contribute to how we become whole as a person. So I went on a path of self-discovery, and what I found is that money is, we've given it its meaning. It's something that we actually created. It's about the human experience. It should be carrying our intention and our power. It shouldn't be something that commands us and controls us. We should be turning it around. It was originally created as a form of exchange for goods and services. It was never meant to be a measure of how good or bad you were as a person, or how good or bad you should feel about yourself. So I went through a process of getting as much information as I could, and found that, because I've had a paper round from when I was 11, I was pretty good at earning money. I just was very good at spending it and very good at lying about spending it to myself and everyone else. There's a lot more to it than that, but that's just the basic thing. And what I found when I was trying to teach myself the information was that it wasn't freely available to me, and how I wished that I had come up with something that had been available to me sooner. And that's where I came up with the concept of creating it in a way that makes it fun and interesting, and something that women could easily understand. Because a lot of the jargon is technical and it scares you off, and you think if you budget, that means you have to go without stuff. So what I would like to do is actually tailor a program that, and the research indicates that women do want to learn, they just want it to be relatable and fun and interesting. So what I'd like to do is tailor it to something that most women have some sort of level of comfort with. It does vary, but most of us have an idea about fashion and style. And the reason for that is to take away that block of the terminology and the complexity of it, and make it something that we do have a familiarity with. So for example, we all know, most of us know, why you'd have a little black dress in your wardrobe. What does it represent? Well, it's always something you can rely on. You can dress it up, you can dress it down. It generally makes you feel good, no matter how you feel about yourself at the time. It's always something you can rely on, and it should be something that's sophisticated and elegant. What's the finance equivalent of the little black dress? Well, I think it could be something like saving 10% of everything you earn from the day you start earning your money. Why is that important? Because you start to build a great behaviour within yourself. You're paying yourself first. You've got something to rely on then at the end of the day, and this is yours, something you own. And you're building confidence and self-courage within yourself. What I found though wasn't all about the information, because even though I gathered quite a lot of information, I still had some inconsistent habits, let's say, when it came to money. And what I found is that for women, our emotional connection is very important to our financial management. So getting our emotions under control is extremely important if we want to get our financials under control. And the reason for that is that we're pretty complex creatures. We like to be generous with our time and our money, and we tend to do that with everyone in our lives. So the stats on spending, 55% of women say that if they had more self-control, they probably wouldn't spend as much money. 75% of women say that they go shopping and spend to make themselves feel better. And 52% say that they will often go shopping to cheer themselves up, and they would stop that if they had other ways to cheer themselves up. So this started me on my adventure of that self-discovery. And what I found was that I might have this answer with the little black dress, but if I didn't in fact love unconditionally that person in the little black dress, it didn't really matter how much information I had. It didn't make any difference to the fundamental behaviour that I actually was displaying. So that opened a whole big can of worms, and I went through a self-discovery of getting to know myself almost for better or worse, for richer or poorer. I needed to choose myself. And there's been a number of ways that I came to a position of completely accepting myself, but the one thing that was the most impacting on me was doing something called mirror work. And there's a beautiful lady by the name of Louise Hay, who's an incredible teacher. And it's through her guidelines that I actually followed this, as ridiculous as you do feel doing it. And really, what handbag is incomplete without a compact mirror? So I carry this with me often, and it makes talking to myself a really good thing to do instead of fun thing that makes you feel crazy. And what I found is that you've got to be really brave, and you actually learn more about yourself by looking at yourself through the mirror, because it's what's on the inside. And I encourage you to try it, because it's pretty uncomfortable. You stand there, you look, you've got to hold your gaze and not fidget, and hold your gaze, remember to breathe, smile at yourself, and tell yourself that you completely, unconditionally and totally love yourself. And I've got to be completely honest, it's not easy, and you'll be surprised at what comes up, but what's on the inside reflects straight back at you, and you'll get to know yourself incredibly well through your expressions, and I wouldn't be shy in having a conversation. I do it often. And isn't it funny? It's always the last place you look that you find what you most needed. That's what my mum always used to say. I want to finish with, at the heart of the matter, it's actually the heart for me when it comes to managing money. Yes, you can have all the information, but if you don't know exactly who you are and love and completely accept yourself, it won't completely align in terms of the flow of money through your life. And with Cinderella, well, I've been to see the new release of Cinderella, and I've studied the Grimm Brothers version, and I do prefer that one. However, the current Cinderella movie, funnily enough, I see it this time, and it's not about Prince Charming. It's about a beautiful girl who is about having courage and being kind, standing on her own 2 feet, choosing her destiny, and not being worried about being different from everyone else. And she just follows her heart. And that is the way I would tell that fairy tale to my beautiful nieces, to make sure that as much as possible I give them something that hopefully they can live an empowered life through following their heart.